there's a part of this that Saturday night in Atlantic City when I got off stage, a bunch of my friends were there who I hadn't seen, from Machardi to Ralph Fuso to Little McNeil. I mean, I saw a lot of fucking cats, you know, and thank you very much for always supporting me, North Bergen, with all my heart. Thank you. Union City, West New York, Hudson County's always got my motherfucking back since day one. But when I was talking to one of the guys, he said to me, you know, it's so funny that you came out here and that you're hanging, that you're talking. It's fucking dynamite. And I'm like, why would it be, you know, why wouldn't I come out and talk to you guys? You know, you guys were the ones that kept me together. Like I've told you 1,000 times, you know, God took my family, but he showed me the gift of friendship. And he showed it to me through these guys, you know. And whatever, they knew me at my lowest fucking point. They knew me when I was robbing and stealing and fucking cheating and fucking snorting, and, you know, I would sell my soul, and I did. I ended up fucking doing time for it, but they knew me at my lowest point. You guys met me in between, and you guys have checked me and kept me fucking honest the last 7, 8 years since we've been doing a podcast, because I got to walk the walk. You know, I just can't fucking talk the talk. So it's so weird because at first I didn't think about it. I go, why would it be weird? He goes, well, you got the movies. And I go, listen, man, this is what keeps me honest, is that I keep in touch with those guys. Anytime I've gone off the reservation is because I wasn't keeping in touch. I only went off the reservation one time in this town, and that's after I shot The Longest Yard, and it was set-induced. Like, it was the people on the set telling me what was going to happen once this movie came out, so it set expectations for me, and I started acting a little bit fucking weird. But going back to Jersey and walking those streets reminded me, you know, sometimes you listen to the podcast, I know a lot of you just complain, oh, well, Joey, you talk about the past and the stories. When I wake up in the morning, when I'm peeing and I'm fucking cheering myself on for the day, as I'm walking, there's a bit of that walk that I think about, you know, being in prison, or I think about sleeping in that rocket ship, or I think about fucking sleeping in a bus, you know, headed to a gig in Buffalo or something like that. I think about my lowest points, so I'm kept in check. Ego is something that I've always fucking hated. I've always hated people with egos, and I've always watched them, and I've seen their destruction little by little, because ego will fuck you up, whether you're a fucking plumber, a car salesman, a comic, a musician. I mean, how many great bands have been broken up by egos? I'll tell you 3 of them. The Eagles was an ego game, not as much as the Police and Pink Floyd. I love Roger Waters. I'm not saying nothing bad about Roger Waters, but his fucking ego. Read his interviews, you know, listen to his, you know, his ego, was like the creation of the wall. He was saying, you know what, I don't mind doing shows, I just don't like the fucking fans. If I could build a wall between me and the fans, who would say something like that? Who would say something like that? The fans keep your fucking lights on. But his ego was so strong, it clashed with Gilmore and is done. Another great band that's done because of ego. The Police. Fucking that singer has the biggest fucking ego. I just watched him 2 years ago one night on one of those late night shows, and he whipped out a fucking harmonica. And he's like, I'm doing a album and a tour on harmonica. You know why? Because he was sitting around drinking wine with a bunch of his jerk-off friends, and instead of somebody saying, do me a favor, put the fucking harmonica away, they fucking told him that it was great and what a great idea. So now for fucking a summer, this moron went out and played the fucking harmonica on tour. But if you watch his interviews, the whole thing, his ego is fucking huge.
How do you, and maybe just learning how to, but how do you balance? Because to be an entertainer, you have to have some ego, don't you? It seems like you have to have a little bit both.
Depends where the ego comes from.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, for a guy like me, I remind myself every day of who the fuck I was, and that keeps me in check. When I shot The Longest Yard, I was a little fucked up, but it's not like I was throwing water at people or fucking people to fetch me a water. It was an ego of expectations. Like I had something coming to me. There's different types of ego. There's, what some people call white privilege. That's a type of ego, you know. There's different fucking egos, and you see them in people. Again, nothing racist. A great person once told me that never give a Spanish person or a black person a manager's job at Burger King. And I thought it was like a joke, and I thought about it because their egos go out of fucking control. They can't control their ego. Your ego will make you buy a fucking house like Michael Jackson. Your ego, it's not that Michael Jackson went on an interview and said he was the greatest of all time. People like Kanye West do that, and it affects people. People get pissed off, all that type of shit. You never heard Biggie Small say it, or, But for some people, they don't have to say it. It's the way they walk. It's the way they talk. I cannot tell you, between bands, like music bands, no, these are just Richie Blackmore had a bad ego with Deep Purple, and then he carried that bad ego into fucking Rainbow with Dio and fucking all the bands he had with singers. He had an amazing fucking, an ego, I'm not staying in the same hotel as the other guys. That shit is fucking ego. Now, ego is very helpful. And if you back it, there's nothing wrong with it. And you know what? You will back it for a long time. But after that, it becomes something else, What the fuck are you giggling about? Nobody...
Why did you like him? What did he do?
He did an error.
I knew a second ago, but now... keep going from where you told it, because then...
Okay. You know that little forehead you got?